our live press conference. This meeting is being recorded. Thank you for joining us today to launch our campaign to oppose and defeat Amendment 76 on the Colorado ballot this November. My name is Julian Camera. I'm the field organizer at the ACLU of Colorado and the campaign manager for the Campaign for Re-Election Protection to Vote No on 76. A few housekeeping items. This is a Zoom webinar, and so only speakers and panelists have the ability to unmute and show their video. We will save time for Q&A at the end, and you can ask questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. If you ask a question, we'll make sure to get to it at the end. Here with us today, we have the Colorado Language Co-op, who is going to do Spanish translations for us today. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome Ruth to do those, to give instructions on how to use those services. Welcome, Ruth.
Thank you, Julian. Hi, everybody. My name is Ruth, and I'm here with the Community Language Co-op. Bear with me as I have to interpret the same message in English and Spanish. I want to thank everyone here for prioritizing health equity through language justice as much as possible. And I want to thank the ACLU for having us here today. Once we turn on interpretation, if you need it, at the bottom right corner, you will see the little globe come up. You can select English or Spanish. If you have any questions, you can always ask it on the chat, and we'll make sure to monitor that if you're having some problems or if for some reason you can't hear me. Entonces, hola a todos, buenos días. Mi nombre es Ruth y estoy aquí con el Community Language Co-op. Téngame paciencia porque tengo que interpretar el mismo mensaje. Quiero darle las gracias aquí al ACLU por tenernos el día de hoy y por priorizar la equidad de salud a través de la justicia del lenguaje, tanto como sea posible. Una vez termine este mensaje, van a ver la opción abajo, va a haber un icono como un globito y ustedes pueden seleccionar ahí su idioma, si gusta escucharlo en inglés o español, es lo que estamos dando el día de hoy. Y si tienen alguna pregunta, por favor, escríbanla en el chat. Si no me pueden escuchar, me pueden dejar saber ahí también. Así que gracias. Well, thank you, everybody. We can turn it on now. Y ahora lo vamos a encender.
Wonderful. We're just going ahead and getting the language turned on. Oh, there it is. So everyone should see it pop up at the bottom of their screen. It says interpretation. It's a little globe, and then you just follow Ruth's instructions to get that started. Thank you so much, Ruth, and thank you for being here with us for this event today to do translations for us. It's incredibly important. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our wonderful host for today and the Public Policy Director at the ACLU of Colorado, Denise Mayes. Thank you, Denise.
Well, and thank you, Julian. Good morning to one and all, and welcome as we launch our No on 76 campaign. We're going to dig right into it. Colorado has been the beacon for the nation for expanding access to the ballot, to making it easy for you and me to vote, to cast our vote, and to make sure it is counted. But Amendment 76 threatens our progress. Amendment 76, seemingly simply worded, is really actually misleading. It provides only a citizen of the United States who has attained 18 years of age can vote. Right now, in Colorado, only citizens can vote. So in that regard, this initiative is in search of a problem that simply doesn't exist. So why do it? It furthers confusion, and it furthers divisiveness toward our immigrant family and friends and new citizens. Second, Colorado law currently allows 17-year-olds to vote in a primary if and only if this 17-year-old will be 18 at the time of the general election. Initiative 76 undoes that and rolls back access to the ballot for an entire new generation of voters. The coalition against 76 is wide and diverse. We have a terrific lineup of individuals that you will hear from this morning, and they will expand on these points and certainly much more. First up, I want to introduce Amanda Gonzalez. She is currently the Executive Director of Common Cause Colorado. It is the entity that has been at the helm of leading Colorado's efforts to expand and grow voting rights in Colorado. Amanda, welcome, and give us a few words.
Thank you very much, Denise, and thank you everyone who has joined us today. As Denise said, I'm the Executive Director of Colorado Common Cause, where we've been fighting for open, honest, and accountable government for 50 years. For nearly a decade, Colorado has been on the front lines of voter access and election protection. We have some of the safest, most secure, and most voter-friendly laws in the country. Today, we're joining all Coloradans who believe in fairness to stand up against Amendment 76, a constitutional amendment brought to us by a Florida-based group that aims to disenfranchise young voters, foster anti-immigrant sentiments, and create confusion within our elections. Our Constitution currently says every citizen of the US who has attained the age of 18 can vote. This initiative, which is funded by wealthy special interest, would amend our Constitution to say that only a citizen of the United States who has attained the age of 18 can vote. In Colorado, you are already required to be a citizen in order to vote. This initiative does not change that, but changing one word from every to any does do three dangerous and harmful things to our state. First, it would disenfranchise young voters. Last year, our legislature passed the Colorado Votes Act, which enabled 17-year-olds who turn 18 by the general election to cast a ballot in the primary. And young voters turned out. More than 45% of registered 17-year-olds cast a ballot. That's more than 10,000 young voters who this amendment would have stripped voting rights from. Second, this measure is a blatant attack on immigrants as it causes confusion in immigrant communities. Naturalized citizens who legally have the right to vote may not know if they can vote, resulting in lower voter turnout in these communities and a democracy that does not represent their interest. Finally, this proposal gives no clear directives on how Colorado's state and local governments should implement this measure. It aims to change language in our state's constitution and leave us to figure out how to implement it. The proposal's funders have provided no leadership on implementation because they're not from Colorado and they have no interest beyond creating confusion for Colorado voters. Colorado has worked hard to make voting accessible to every citizen. This ballot measure takes us in the wrong direction and chips away at the foundation that we've all worked hard to lay. Voters must stand together this November and support real election protection by voting no on 76. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Amanda. That's a great job of just laying out the three dangers of this particular proposal. And I also appreciate you underscoring that this initiative is born and bred from Florida, and we don't need Florida in Colorado to tell us how to run elections. Next up is Tondi Glick. She is a student and is here to speak on behalf of our next generation of voters. Tondi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Tondi Glick, and I'm a high school senior in Denver. I'm against Amendment 76 because an attempt from an out-of-state group to disenfranchise Coloradans is deeply threatening to our democracy. It's also directly threatening to young people like me. This June, 24,000 17-year-olds who are or will be 18 by this year's general election were able to take part in the senatorial and presidential primaries. Many of my friends fell into that category, as will 20 to 25,000 more kids each election cycle. Allowing young people like my friends to have a role in selecting the candidates they will be voting for this November increases turnout among younger voters, but 76 would prevent that participation from happening again. Amendment 76 would disallow those who will be newly 18 during general elections from voting in the preceding primaries, meaning that young people would be unable to play a part in selecting candidates who reflect our values and interests, forcing us to vote for presidential and senatorial candidates we had no role in nominating. Consistently producing candidates who were not accountable to young voters in the primary races would also lower voter turnout among those voters. This is a problem not only for those newly 18-year-olds, but also for our democracy in the long run. Early participation in voting is one of the strongest indicators of future ongoing voter engagement. It would be undemocratic to pass a constitutional amendment that actively discourages a portion of eligible voters from exercising those rights now and going forward. And in addition to disenfranchising thousands of young voters, this bill stands in the way of any future expansion of voting rights at the local level. I work with the campaign Student Voice, Student Vote, which seeks to empower 16 and 17-year-olds like myself to vote in local school board elections in Colorado, something that could not happen if 76 were to pass. As a student, I have one of the biggest stakes in educational issues. I'm directly impacted by the decisions made about schools, so I want to have a say in who makes those decisions. And I want to ensure that we as students have the power to hold our school board accountable. If this state trusts me as a 16-year-old to drive a car, drop out of school, and emancipate myself from my parents, it should trust me to have a say in my own education. And if this state trusts newly 18-year-olds to have a role in the democratic process of determining who will hold the highest office in the country, it should also trust them to take part in determining who runs for that office. As a student and as a person who cares about our democracy, I'm asking you to protect the voting rights of young people and vote no on Amendment 76. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tondi. Those are great words. Thank you for your interest and commitment to our democracy and for exercising your right to vote. It's very, very much appreciated. Next up is Miriam Arnetos. Miriam is originally from Juarez, but she has made Colorado her home. She participates in our beautiful democracy by voting, a right she's fully entitled to exercise. Miriam, welcome.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you for having me today. My name is Miriam Arnetos. I am an immigrant, a citizen, and a voter. My parents brought me here from Ciudad Juarez in 1994 when I was 11 years old. They brought us here because they wanted a better future for me and for my siblings. I became a US citizen in 2008. It was a long, tough road, but it was all worth it. Once I became a citizen, I registered to vote on the 2008 presidential elections. November 4th was the first day that the reality of being a US citizen really hit me. That day I was allowed to leave work early. I wanted to make sure I had enough time to go vote. My boss and coworkers were very happy for me as they had helped me study for the citizenship exam for months. Once I got to the local rec center where the voting poll was located, I was very nervous. It was my first time voting in my life, and I was mostly nervous because I didn't know how I was gonna be treated. Once I entered the rec center, everyone was very nice and very helpful as I had a million questions because I wanted to make sure I didn't make a mistake. They congratulated me once I completed my ballot, and they gave me my I voted sticker. I wore that sticker with pride and joy as at that moment I finally felt like I was a part of this country that was now my country too. All citizens should have the same amazing experience I did voting for the first time, no matter if they are born citizens or naturalized citizens. Many people assume that because you are an immigrant, you're not legally eligible to vote. Many people assume that because of the color of my skin and my accent, that I'm not legally eligible to vote. But immigrants with citizenship do vote, and we have the right to vote. Amendment 76 is trying to fix a problem that does not exist. There is already a citizenship requirement for voting. There is already a secure vetting process that allows only those who meet the legal requirements to register to vote. What Amendment 76 does is it confuses voters who, like me, know what we have to go through in order to vote in this country. And it creates an atmosphere of intimidation in an already very anti-immigrant climate. Amendment 76 is just another racist attack on immigrants who are facing discrimination, abuse, and human rights violations at the hands of our current administration. Amendment 76 wants to perpetuate the false narrative that we need to protect our state and our voting process from immigrants. Just as anyone else who is a citizen, I have the right to vote, and I will be voting against the agenda of the Florida-based organization who aims to intimidate and isolate immigrants in the state of Colorado. I will be voting no on 76. Thank you.
No, Miriam, thank you very much. That story warms the heart over here. Thank you for your activism on behalf of our immigrant community, and thank you for voting with a sort of passion that you do. I think it's really amazing. So thank you very much. Last but certainly not least on our agenda this morning is Representative Serena Gonzales-Gutierrez. Representative Gonzalez-Gutierrez is a Denver representative out of House District 4, which is Northwest and West Denver. I'm actually honored, proud, and privileged to live in that particular district and to have Representative Gonzalez-Gutierrez be my representative. She comes from a long line of activists, and she has always been a strong supporter of expansive voting rights, which is the key to a robust democracy. Thank you for being here, Representative, and I look forward to your comments.
Thank you, Denise. The feeling is mutual. I am honored to have you as a constituent as well. But yes, my name is Serena Gonzales-Gutierrez, and I am a state representative for House District 4, which is located in Northwest and West Denver, a community I actually grew up in, and I am third generation in this community and raising my children who are the fourth generation. But before I go into why I am voting no on Amendment 76, I first want to start off with a land acknowledgement. And this is something that I have been proactively doing to bring into these spaces. In the spirit of healing, I acknowledge and honor the Cheyenne, Ute, and Arapaho tribes, and all of the original indigenous peoples of the land upon which we stand. And I want to recognize that because those are the same indigenous peoples, our elders, our ancestors, who were not granted the right to vote in all states until 1962. And so I want to recognize this as we are fighting for voting rights. I also want to thank everyone that has spoke before me because your stories are important, and I want to honor your experiences because we heard directly from you how Amendment 76 will negatively impact your right to vote. Amendment 76 is a direct attack on our democracy. And it will, as we heard from everybody that has spoken today, that it will take away the right to vote for 17-year-olds who have just begun exercising their right in the primary elections. And just like we heard directly from a young person, Tandy, who is amazing, early engagement in voting will promote lifelong civic engagement and participation in elections that influence all of our lives, right? That's why it is so important to give them that right. We also heard from people today, and I share the same thought, is that Amendment 76 creates confusion. It already states in the Colorado Constitution, every citizen of the US is eligible to vote in Colorado elections. And the change that is being proposed, it's not aiming to clarify that only US citizens can vote, but I see it as rather suppressing and intimidating those who are new citizens in our country from exercising their right to vote. This is exactly why I do not support Amendment 76, and I am urging others to vote no on this policy that is discriminatory. And I know in Colorado, we are better than that, and we have to do better. You know, when I turned 18, I remember in my family, it was a rite of passage to be able to go and you know, cast your ballot and vote. And that's before we had mail-in ballots. And I do not take my right to vote for granted. And neither should any of you that are watching right now. Ballots are going to be arriving in our mailboxes very soon. And I encourage you, in fact, I challenge you to complete your mail-in ballot and vote the entire ballot. There is going to be a lot on this ballot. It's going to be massive, but there is a lot at stake, and we cannot afford the consequences. I truly believe that we all deserve to have a voice, and there has never been a more important time to use your voice and vote. And please vote no on Amendment 76. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Representative. Those are terrific words and a great summary of what is so wrong and terrible, misleading, confusing, and everything else about this initiative. And certainly, I think all of us have spoken to the effect that there's just no way that this initiative should get a yes vote. So I encourage everyone here to vote no on 76. I think that, Julian, we're going to open it up now for questions. I see one in the question and answer box about yard signs. I'm going to let Julian take that. And please, if there are any other questions, put them into the Q&A box, and we'll try to address as many of them as we can. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Trish, for the question about yard signs. We are in the process of kind of getting materials together, but if you want to sign up for our campaign at Vote No on 76, we can keep you updated on any materials that we are able to get our hands on. I would love for there to be something where folks can, you know, put that on their yard, in their windows, whatever it is. But yeah, if you can sign up on our website, votenoon76.com. We'll keep you updated on that. Any other questions? We'll give folks just a moment. Okay. Well, you can always send questions to us at info@votenoon76. If you want to keep up with our campaign, follow us at Vote No on 76. That's our handle on Instagram and Twitter, at Vote No on 76. If you'd like to join our efforts to defeat Amendment 76, you can sign up at votenoon76.com. And always you can email us to learn more at info@votenoon76.com. Well, if that's it for today, we'll, oh wait, actually we have some questions.
Yeah, Julian, I do see a couple in there. You might want to get to those.
Okay. Yes, so the question was, are there other efforts? This effort came from Florida. Are there other efforts in other states? There are other efforts in other states. Citizens Voters, Inc. is a Florida-based 501c3. They're working to pass identical amendments in Florida. They're at Alabama this year. They've already passed one in South Dakota in 2018, or North Dakota in 2018. They have a ton of money behind their campaign. They're targeting Colorado this year because we do have one of the best election systems in the country. And they know that if they can pass this in Colorado, it'll be very simple for them to pass it in future states. So we really have to defeat this if we want to stop their efforts. So the question is, how is this amendment polling? Well, to be honest, this amendment is not polling good for us. It's polling very well for them. And that's because it's very confusing. You know, it asks, shall there be a citizenship requirement for voting? And that's very confusing to voters because they they may or may not know that there already is a citizenship requirement for voting. So people automatically just say, yeah, I guess, not really knowing the intent behind this initiative, that it's an anti-immigrant effort, and that it's going to take away the ability for 17-year-olds to vote in our primaries. So yeah, the polling is not good, and that's why we need to get all hands on deck to defeat this and get the word out, and just make sure everyone is really clear about the language and the fact that there already is a citizenship requirement for voting, and this is going to really put a permanent limit on how we can vote in Colorado. And then the question is, will you be using the possibility that the change from every citizen to only a citizen can be used to ask the courts to mandate various ID requirements and other things that would serve to suppress the vote, maybe even block vote by mail because of no proof of citizenship? Raquel, are you available to answer that question? I think
Yes.
it's a very...
Thank you, Julian. Yeah, that's a really great question, Thomas. For us, the root of this, and so many people have mentioned it already, but this ballot measure is clearly trying to push an anti-immigrant agenda and to set this false narrative that immigrants are voting illegally in our elections, right? And it also sets this separation between immigrants and citizens. And we know that's false because there are immigrants who are citizens. And we are keeping our eyes peeled for the ways this might come up and violate people's right to access the ballot. So we haven't seen anything yet, but that's something that we are highly, highly aware of, and trying to make sure that this doesn't translate to folks losing their access to the ballot. And that's why it's so important for folks to vote no on ballot initiative 76, because it is a real threat to the progress Colorado has made to make our ballot and our election accessible to folks. So thank you for that question.
Yes, thank you, Raquel. Raquel's with the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition Action Fund. We have one more question. Can Amanda Gonzalez elaborate on what she means by there not being a clear way to implement the amendment? Amanda, are you available for this one?
Yeah, so because the change to our Constitution is only one word, it's really unclear the impact that this would have on our election. So I think Raquel spoke very well to the possible threat around voter suppressive ID laws. So right now, Colorado accepts 16 different kinds of ID. You do need ID when you register and when you vote in person. But I think that this could invite a whole host of other regulations and rules that do suppress the vote. And it's very unclear sort of how that would be implemented and the true impacts of this law because there is so little language.
Thank you, Amanda. Let's see if there's any more questions. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, like I was saying, you can, oh wait, we have a, how are you educating voters about this is the question. So our big thing is going to be our outreach. We have our website going, we have our social media going, but we're going to need all hands on deck to help us make phone calls, to help do text. We're including it, we have a great coalition of partners. We're going to include this in our ballot guides. We're going to do everything to clear up the language on what this amendment does and where it comes from. And we could use folks, everyday people who would like to get involved in our campaign just to help talk about this. That's going to be where the biggest impact is going to be is when you hear from the folks that they're voting no, and why, and the fact that this is racist at a time when immigrants are already greatly under attack. We're at a very climatic point in our country where racism is being put on a very large screen for everyone to see what exactly is happening. And the folks in Colorado, the folks I know, we're not for that, and we need to stand up and vote no on Amendment 76. Any other questions right now, or any other thoughts from our panelists? I'll give folks a second, but like I was saying, join our campaign, votenoon76.com. I know there's a lot of different ballot initiatives and campaigns to be working on right now. We could use all the help, even if it's just a little bit. We want you on our team. We want to defeat this initiative. We want every Coloradan to hear our no message and why. And then, just find us at Vote No on 76 on social media, and Vote No on 76, or info at votenoon76.com is our email to contact us. All right. Well, if that's it for today, we're going to go ahead and close out. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you to our panelists, our amazing group of panelists, our amazing coalition of folks who are really determined to defeat this at the ballot this November. We hope to continue this fight, and we want you all a part of it. So thank you for being here with us today.